Who's up? Disagreements? Yes.
Disagree.
Okay. How are you?
Hi. Yes. I don't know am I supposed to say my name or just?
want to.
Okay. My name is Gigi. I guess I'm mostly on the side of disagreeing because I feel like I don't think that behind this presidency, I don't think that this country is headed towards a bright future. I don't think that under this presidency that we are going to stand united. I think that it is going to divide us even more and that it is dividing us. And I also don't think that this presidency is built on a love of all people. I feel like whenever I hear Trump specifically talk, there are notions of not black people specifically, but people of color being seen as murderers and rapists, and it's specifically targeted towards brown people. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is, my question for you is, do you think this country, or do you think that Trump is going to do the American public right in the overall of his presidency?
Yes.
Okay. Are you worried about the state of this country under his presidency when it comes to economic setbacks, when it comes to another Great Depression, when it comes to stocks going down, et cetera, et cetera? Are you worried that
No.
he is not going to do anything like that?
I don't have those concerns. And by the way, inflation's going down, and the price of eggs is going down, everybody, big time. But go ahead. I want you to thoroughly complete your argument, and then I'll say something.
Okay. I guess basically the point of my argument is I think that President Trump, and I think that this country's view, especially when we're coming now into DEI and we're coming into defunding of Department of Education, we're coming to taking the Tuskegee Airmen out of being taught.
That has been reversed, just for the record.
Okay.
Tuskegee Airmen.
But there's been multiple other things besides Tuskegee, but also the whole debate on critical race theory, teaching slavery in schools, teaching black history, et cetera, et cetera. These are things that are being targeted specifically when it took years and years to even get them in place. I think that this country is built on using the Bible, not even 100 years ago, to defame and to dehumanize black people. There has been use of the Bible specifically when people used to come into the church and talk about how slaves should obey their masters, and how that's what the whole relationship between white and black people were. I think that this country specifically has a lot of racist rhetoric that is built in, that is not being targeted. I think that.
So let's try to find some common ground. Is that okay?
That's fine. That's fine.
Can you give me a definition of racism?
Racism, in terms of, I will say, okay,
You use the term,
yes,
so I want to make sure we're
that's
talking
fair.
about the same thing. Is that cool?
Yes, that's fair. I will say that I will state that I am biased because I will be speaking as a black person specifically from the United States of America, and not anywhere else. But I will say racism is a discrimination against people of a minority that does not have a. Okay, what is racism? Racism, without using the word.
Can't use the word racism.
Can't use the word. That's what I'm trying. A discrimination against a minority class of people in order to create an imbalance in the society or a hierarchy based on something that is undetermined as of color, race, the color of your skin, or maybe even color of your skin.
Can you be racist against Asians?
Yes.
Can you be racist against white people?
I believe that you can have prejudice against white people, but in the way that this country was built and the way that this country has been founded and the way that there are many laws that have taken place, specific like where you were talking earlier with the whole reparations debate, there are many legacies of white people in this country that...
Guys, just... Okay, let's just all take a breath. Gigi's talking.
Which I also would like, I feel like that kind of comes into, yes, we're not all from this country. This is a country of immigrants. This is a country of people from other countries.
So let me give you an example.
Yes.
If a group of black individuals, which happens unfortunately so often, say, we want to go beat up Whitey, and they go beat up a white person, was that a racist thing that they did?
I would have to ask for further context, but yes. Based off of that,
cool.
Yes.
So, but then let's go back to your definition, because your definition was that it had to be the exercise of power. I'm going to make your definition better for you, because the exercise of power against a minority group.
Yes.
But in that case, it wouldn't be, because it would be a group of black individuals versus a white individual.
Correct.
So wouldn't a better definition of racism be a human being or institution prejudicing or stereotyping against anybody else because of their race?
I do agree that is a better there's a better definition in terms of how racism is used in society, in terms of setting people behind not having equal amounts of opportunities in these institutions, specifically colleges, jobs, et cetera, hospitals. But that is my point. I feel like in this country, we don't talk about enough, and I think that under this presidency...
Don't talk about what enough?
We don't talk about the history and the impact of long-term racism in this country against minorities.
Can I just press pause?
Yes.
That's all we've talked about the last 5 years. I mean, but hear me out. 1619 Project. We have entire black dedicated channels on Pluto and Hulu and Netflix. We have reoriented the entire national dialogue towards, we had the President of the United States, Joe Biden, take a knee for Black Lives Matter, to have racial reconciliation seminars, to have non-stop race obsession. So I think we've talked about it thoroughly and properly.
So do you think that black people in this country have equal opportunity and are treated equally as white
Absolutely.
people?
So let me prove it to you, okay? So Gigi and Charlie. What can Charlie do that Gigi can't do?
Okay, I don't know anything. I don't really know much about you. I don't know
Based on the
what
law.
you're capable of.
No, just on the law. What am I allowed to do on the law that you are not allowed to do on the law?
On paper, nothing.
That's equal opportunity.
Yes, that is true. Like, I was born under this country. I am a citizen of America. I am an American. I am a black American. I am a follower. I am a child of God. We all are. I 100% stand on that. But I think that basically what I'm trying to get at is I feel like in order for us to have these conversations and to keep having these conversations, we need to have a specific platform that we're able to meet each other on the common consciousness of this society. And I don't think we can have these conversations if we do not understand that black people specifically, because I really can't talk about Asians. I'm not Asian. I can't talk about other people of color. But black people in this country specifically have never had the opportunities to bring themselves back up. When you're talking about the destroyment of the black family, that also came with a big chunk of the Reagan administration, which was forever and whatever ago.
How is it the government's fault of why dads aren't around?
I mean, we could get into the whole, like, the rhetoric of crack babies and crack drug dealers.
So, but isn't it a decision to take drugs?
Oh, no, 100%.
So, and it's a decision to commit crimes.
Yes.
Okay, so the government didn't do that to them. People decided to take drugs.
That's true. But do you feel like these populations or these communities have, in statistics, been overly populated by police officers?
Well, so you seem like a really sweet person. So I don't want to try to be too intense. Is that cool?
Go ahead.
What percentage of America is black? 13%, right? Yes. What percentage of the murders in America are committed by black people?
I don't know the specific statistics.
Guess.
It's 50%.
It's 60%.
60.
So maybe when you do 60% of the killings and you're 13% of America, More cops should be around your neighborhoods.
But there's no cops there's not an equal number of cops in the white suburban neighborhoods
Because
in the
there's
same
not as much
neighborhood,
murder.
the same neighborhoods that are controlling the coke. Like they have
But you look
cocaine in
at
their houses, but it's not treated the same.
And this is okay, Gigi, because it really is flushing out our different worldviews. You look at cops as if they're there to catch you and get you. We look at cops as they're there to protect and serve and help us.
And that's only because in this country, I mean, police used to be able to drag black people out in the streets and hose them down and sick dogs on them and tear them apart. And we never really had the conversation that where do we get away from that?
We definitely had the conversation.
After
George Floyd, the whole country blew up under the conversation. Okay.
Yes, but it was a big standing on should cops be able to do this? It's almost as if when a black person is murdered by police or at the hands of the police, the gun, bullet that came from a police officer's registered gun.
On average, how many times a year would you say a black person killed by police?
I mean, at one point it was happening
Unarmed.
at least. Okay, if it was happening at least last year, it was going on about. It was at least a month that it was a major case. But in terms of the average city, I don't know the average city.
Right?
I know though, but in terms of what actually makes it to major media, because not everything.
It's the Washington Post's own database, left wing, 10 black individuals a year. So here's my contention. So you have a population that dads are not around, that is very, very murderous per population capita, that is very violent, more likely to be involved in gangs, and we, as conservatives look at that and we say, wait a second, like the problem is within the community. The problem is not the government. The problem is not the culture. The problem is not the history. Instead, really what needs to happen is black leadership, black pastors, and black dads need to go into the black community and say, we're better than this. Cut the killing, cut the violence. Do you know the most, one more point.
Go ahead.
Who is, outside of heart disease and all that, what is the number one killer of black people in America?
I know about like diabetes, but
fellow black people. A black person is far more likely to be killed by another black person than anything else. Black people are a greater threat to their own people than any other community. So it's not like white supremacists coming into these communities and they're mowing down. It's black on black gang violence.
But that's not okay. I just like to go back to something that you said earlier about like how it has nothing to do with the government. The history of black people in this country has everything to do with the government. At one point, the government allowed and pushed and raised forced slavery. That was something that this government did. They made laws in the improvement of segregation. So in terms of the long history, you can't take out the fact that government has played a major institution.
Of course, government plays a role. But let's take you, Gigi. How did government... You got to move over, man. You're blocking their view. Can you please move?
No, I'm good right here. I'm not disrupting anything.
You are. They can't see. You're blocking people. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, but Gigi, let me. Yeah. All right. So, Gigi, let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
How did that legacy of slavery prevent you from getting to this school and having a great career?
I think that. Okay. I'm sorry, I got kind of distracted. Can you please restate your question?
So, Gigi, what I'm trying to do right now, I'm going to give you a warning, is prove that your own life experience is actually at odds with some of the things you're saying. Is that cool? So here you are at the University of Tennessee, correct? You're a student.
Yes.
You have the whole world as your oyster in front of you. You could study hard. You're going to graduate. You're going to do better than most people in probably the community you came from. Just guessing. I don't know your background, but based on how you're talking. How did the legacy of slavery get in your way?
I will say the legacy of slavery got in my way in the way that I am not a legacy child here. I would say that it got in my way in the way that my parents, my grandparents were not afforded the same, were not at one point even allowed to be on the property of this school. I think that is one of the things that has gotten into this way.
But you're here. It didn't get in the way. So here's the attitude I want you to adopt, Gigi, and I'll close with this. Instead of just looking at everything in the past that's wrong and bad through a victim lens, say, you know what?
It's still going on. Okay,
one sec. Say, you know what?
I'll let you speak.
I'm an American, and I'm going to use my mental energy to say, despite all of that, I get to succeed and flourish and prosper as a black American at the University of Tennessee. You are a living embodiment, Gigi, that you can still succeed as a black individual.
I would just disagree from the simple fact that I feel like there are a lot of barriers, there's a lot of obstacles, there's a lot of prejudice just in somebody might look at me and not even assume that I could
How
even
do you
get
know
into
what they're
the
thinking?
universe. I'm not saying that I know what people I don't know what people
just
are
said
thinking.
that.
I'm saying I can assume from prejudices that I know exist in this country.
Hold on a second.
even
I
in
got to go
this day
time out.
age.
And you know what? If you walk around here and you go see, this happens all the time, and you see a white boy with the short shorts and kind of acting all, you might say, he's only there because of his parents.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, it happens a lot at these southern schools, right?
I mean, it happened. I mean, I was raised
So
in Michigan.
everybody has to overcome some form of bias, prejudice, or stereotyping. What's most helpful? Let's stop talking about it so much and talking about how we can apply ourselves to become better people and better citizens. Thank you so much, Gigi. Thank you. Thank you.
I think I enjoy this conversation because, they both allowed each other to speak, Charlie was not trying to cut her short and she was giving out, her very best, trying to explain herself, give reason why she believed in what she believed. Nowadays, a whole lot of things are, fading away. I remember when Floyd died due to the, I would call that the police harassment. But I think it woke up this movement of Black Lives Matter. And aside from that, when that happened, things were put in place. A whole lot of things were put in place. It's not like they allowed the guy who unalived Floyd to go scot-free. No, he was, sentenced, like he was charged to court, and so many other things followed. So it shows that there is nothing like systematic racism. Like there is no law that supports a white man to oppress a black man. If you do things out of your own personal will, you face the law. And with the situation of Floyd, we know that yes, at least the law worked, because the guy who unalived him was severely punished. And that is how it's supposed to be. You might have the opportunity to handle a gun, but there are rules to it. Even if you're putting on the uniform, there are things you can do with that weapon. There are things you cannot do, even as a police officer. So when it comes to this situation, at least I love how this girl was able to express herself. She still believed that, based on things her parents were not allowed to enjoy, or her grandparents were not allowed to enjoy, she feel like, yes, they were not privileged enough. But change does not happen overnight. That is what I believe in. I believe change takes process. America is a country that is healing. Formerly, they were a racist country, and gradually those lifestyle are fading away. Those things are gradually fading away. It's not going to happen one day, this individual racism, but eventually it will all fade away. If you check American in 2025 and American in, let's say, 1980 or 1960, they are different. Formerly, black were not even allowed to swim in the same swimming pool as white. That was when racism was at its peak. But now, it's like everyone is free to do whatever they want to do. So, I think what black is after now is this policing, and eventually it will fade away. And I believe what Charlie is saying, if a particular area or a particular society or a particular race have this history of violence, the government are going to look for a way to cut down that violence. That is why they are there. They are there to protect the life and property of citizens. And also that is why police are there. So what they will do is they will deploy more police officers to those places to put those things on check. And I think that is what the government are doing right now. It might be a harsh decision, but it's a decision that will help, reduce high crime rates. And based on statistics, these high crime rates are basically, coming from black society. So if there's high policing over there, it's just because of the high crime rate. Same way black were not allowed to swim with whites, the same way the high policing is there. It's still going to fade away. If black start showing or exhibiting characters that they can live without hurting each other, the policing will drop drastically. It's just like in Nigeria, we have places in Nigeria that are run by a terrorist organization. the number of police or military personnel there will always be higher than the number of military personnel in places that have no insecurity issue. So that is how it's supposed to be. I think the problem would have been when there is high crime rates and there is low policing, because now you feel like, yes, this place is getting run by gangs and there is no one doing anything about it. I've seen scenarios like that I think in Istanbul. I don't know if it's Istanbul or there's a particular country whereby military or police force are not even allowed to like enter certain part of the country because they are overrun by gang members. So that is what America is trying to prevent. They're trying to increase the police rates in this black area to call down crime. And when that happens, I think the police are going to, go back to their various jurisdiction. And I have a situation that happened last year. There is a group of people that were supposed to visit Ghana last year, but they have to postpone their visit because of a crime that happened in Chicago. One of their students was, gunned down in Chicago, and they have to reschedule their visit. And I feel like this is why places like Chicago, you always see high number of policing, because they're trying to call down these people unaliving themselves. They're trying to reduce the rate at which, people harm themselves. So it's an example. At least I don't live in Chicago, but I was able to, meet with these people that came all the way from Chicago, told me about their experience, and they were almost about canceling their visits to Ghana. But thank God they were able to resolve issue, and, they were able to come to Ghana, see the beautiful country and explore, Ghana is a black country. So seeing blacks coming from Chicago to see their roots and everything, it shows that, I don't know, it just brings back memory. You're able to experience what your forefathers have experienced. And I just feel like that is the beauty of visiting Africa. And maybe that's by the way, but this justifies what Charlie is talking about. I see the girl as a nice girl that is willing to learn. She might have witnessed some individual racism, but that is why Charlie asks, is there something you can do that I can't do? Because if there is something you can do that Charlie Kirk cannot do, then I think there is systematic racism. But as far as the job Charlie Kirk can apply for, you can also apply for it as far as you are qualified, or you guys have the same qualification. Then I think America is not a racist country. It might, like I said before, people might still practice individual racism, but with time it's going to fade away. We have this, people have this bad notion about Nigerians. Whenever they see Nigerians, they see, let's say, criminals, they see people that are trying to outsmart them. But that is it. Like, we are from a country that you have to strive to achieve whatever you want to achieve. So that mindset is still there. But you need to give them few years. When they discover that this country is different from where I'm coming from, they will adapt. But you see, in Nigeria, we are all on survival mode. We are everything you do, you have to make sure you survive. That is how we were being built. That is how we were, being nurtured. So it's easier to see people act in such way because of the mindset you grew up with. But with time, they start seeing the truth that, these people that I'm trying to harm, they have done me nothing wrong. You see, it depends on, like, it will eventually come, maybe not in their generation, but generation to come. So sometimes we need to check where the roots of the problem and know how to fix the issue. Anyway, this is a brief one coming from Charlie. I enjoyed this, and I want to see more videos like this. If you have any recommendation, let me know in the comment section. If this is your first time visiting the channel, click on the subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and remain blessed.